Hello guys, hope all of you are well. So in yesterday's class we discussed about spiral model and what is static testing and what is dynamic testing. So here we are just recalling what we have done yesterday. In yesterday's class we discussed about spiral process model. So spiral process model basically involve the four steps. First step is a planning, second is a risk analysis, third is engineering and execution, and fourth is a customer evaluation. And in yesterday's class we discussed in a detail about each and every phase basically. Then later on we discussed about what is static testing and what is dynamic testing. What are the type of static testings, like review, inspections and walkthrough. All these are the part of static testing. And then we discussed about dynamic testing. So in a dynamic testing, unit testing, and then system integration testing, system testing and U8. These four are the part basically of dynamic testing. So in today's class we will discuss more about this dynamic testing. So in a dynamic testing, first we will discuss about the unit testing basically. So unit testing. So here are few points that I have highlighted in this document. So I will go through with one by one and I will explain about each and every topic. So unit testing, testing of each module done by development team, and that more focus on a code. Actually, let's suppose if we have any product, okay, that product is developed with many modules. So what the development team will do over here is they will test each and every module of that particular product, and that particular testing, that unit testing, is done by the development team. So everyone should remember basically the unit testing basically done by the development team. They will develop the code for that particular module, and then later on they will do the unit testing. And unit testing basically comes under the white box testing technique. So there are different kind of techniques, but mainly two techniques are very much highlighted basically. The first is the white box testing and second one is the black box testing. White box testing means if we are doing the testing of a particular code, so that come under the white box testing. And if we are checking the functionality of any products, so that come under the black box testing. So here unit testing and integration testing, system integration testings, that come under the white box testing techniques basically. And third point is a unit is nothing but the module of a software that we have discussed earlier. Unit means what? A one particular module, because software is developed with many modules. Okay, so unit means one particular module here. And I have already discussed unit testing is the white box testing techniques, and unit testing is conducted by the developer. So these 5 points that you should always remember about unit testing, like who do the unit testing, and in this unit testing we do the testing of entire application or only the one module. So that we should remember over here, like unit testing generally we do for a one particular module. And later on here I have highlighted what are the techniques of unit testing. So there are few techniques of unit testing. One is the basic path testing, second one is the control structure techniques. So I will just highlight, I will not go in a deep dive, but we will discuss a little bit about these two techniques. So in a basic path testing, what generally we do, every single line should be executed at least once actually. Let's suppose we have written a 10 line of code. So if we are using the basic path testing technique, then every single line of that particular code should be executed at least once basically. So that come under the basic path testing. Second is the control structure testings. Control structure means we have the if else conditions, then loops, that all come under the control structure testing. Basically let's suppose I'm just taking an example, what is the control structure testing is. Like here there is a one example, like the person who do not have the programming background, so they also should not afraid about this, because this is a very basic program. So in a conditional coverage, so what we are doing over here is, like let's suppose A is 100 and B is 50, and if we are giving one condition, A is greater than B, so here A is 100 and B is 50, so this condition is satisfying, right, if A is greater than B. So in that case we are printing A is largest, else what we are doing is B is largest. So this thing basically come under the conditional coverage or control structure testing. Okay, likewise I'm taking a one more another example. Like let's suppose we need to print the values between 1 to 10 numbers. Okay, so what we are doing over here is, like we took a one variable I, and in that we have initialized one value I is equal to 1, and also we take a one more variable which is called maximum, and in that we have put the value is at 10. Okay, now if we are not using any kind of control statement or any kind of loop basically, so what we can do is we can print simply the line print 1, print 2, print 3, print 4 10 times basically. Okay, so this is a traditional method. In that what we are doing is, like we are printing the value from 1 to 10 without using any kind of loop or any kind of if else conditions. So same if we do with the while loop, so what we can do is we can use the while condition, and in that we can put a one condition I less and equal to maximum. Here I is having 1 and maximum is having 10, so this loop will start from 1 and it will iterate till it will reach the maximum value as a 10. So once it will go in this loop, so it will print I, and I value we are having as a 1, so here it will print the value as a 1. Okay, then again we are incrementing the value of I. First I's value was 1, then 1 plus 1 equal to 2, then again it will check into this loop condition and it will check like 2 is less than or equal to 10, then again it will print the value 2. So likewise this loop will run 10 times basically. So what we are doing over here is, like we are just controlling this loop basically. So this is also a part of control structure testing. So again I'm repeating, like unit testing technique. So there are two kind of unit testing technique. One is the basic path testing and second one is the control structure testing. In basic path testings we execute basically the code all the line of the code at least once, like there should not be any skip of any line basically. But in a control structure testings we generally do the testing of if else conditions or any kind of loop if we are using, so that we basically test as a developer. Now second is the system integration testing. In a dynamic testing, the second testing is the integration testing. And what we generally do in the integration testing, we integrate the multiple modules. Okay, and we check the flow between all the modules basically. Let's suppose like we have one module for a login page, and once we log in, then after that it is navigating to another page. Okay, so one module is a login and another module is that an application details after login we are getting, right, if we are taking example of any application. So these two modules, if these two modules are integrated with each other and data is flowing from one module to in another module, so that come under the system integration testing. So few points I have highlighted. Integration testing performed between two and more modules. Okay, like let's suppose in a project if we are having the 10 modules, and in integration what generally we will do, like we will do the data flow between all these 10 modules. So that come under the system integration testing, and that is also the part of white box testing basically. Generally we do the testing of a code basically, and we do the integrations. We check the integration between all the modules basically in a system integration testing. And this integration testing basically the two types are, one is the incremental and second one is the non-incremental. Incremental means like all the modules are interconnected and we are testing the flow between all the modules basically. Okay, like let's suppose if we are having any product, and in that product 10 modules are there, and all the 10 modules are interconnected with each other and interdependent with each other, so that basically come under the incremental. Okay, and in that also we are having two kind of approach. One is the top down approach and second one is the bottom up approach. In top down approach, what we generally do, like we are incrementally adding all the modules and we are testing the flow of all the modules, like the flow between all the modules are working fine. And there is one more thing, that the next module will be the child of previous module, that is called as a top down approach. Okay, and in a bottom up approach also, it is also incrementally adding all the modules and we are testing the flow between all the modules. But the one thing that we need to remember is the next module will be the parent of the previous module in a bottom up approach. Next one is the non-incremental integration. So in that also we are adding all the modules, but there is no child parent relationship between in that. So all the modules will not be in a sequence, so there can be chances to get a lot of errors basically in the non-incremental integration. So generally we prefer the integration, incremental integration basically. Okay, then last is system testing. So this system testing, what generally this is done by the testing team, and what generally testers do in that, they test entire software basically. All the requirements are developed and all the modules are interconnected with each other. Then after that testers will do the system testing. So they will thoroughly do the testing of entire application end to end basically. UI testing, performance testing, security testings, like functional and non-functional, every kind of testing done in that system testing. So few points I have highlighted. Testing in that actually overall functionality of the application tested by the testers, and this is a black box testing techniques. This is not the white box. If we will talk about integration testing and unit testing, so that is a white box testing. We generally do the testing of the code, and that is done by mainly by the development team. But this system testing done by the testers, and they generally do the testing of the functionality, end-to-end product functionality. So that is also the black box testing type, and this testing is done by the testers, and after integration testing only system testing performed. And system testing also, below kind of testing are the part of system testing, like the UI testing, user interface testing. So in that generally what testers do is they thoroughly test end-to-end functionality of entire product basically. Let's suppose if I'm taking an example of Facebook, then end-to-end Facebook functionality they will test, like from login, and after login, if once they log in the Facebook, there are different interfaces are there in a Facebook, so they will entirely test that particular Facebook product basically. So that come under the user interface testing. And functional testing means like let's suppose if we are putting any kind of input in a one particular screen, then output of that particular screen is impacting to the input of another screen. So what is the impact of the output of one screen to the another screen? So that come under the functionality testing, end-to-end functionality we are testing basically. And in a UI now we just simply check, like screens are looking fine, cosmetic changes basically we check into that UI testing. But functional testing, end-to-end functionality we verify basically. Like we talk about Facebook now, so end-to-end functionality of all the modules of Facebook tested under this functional testing. And non-functional testing, basically we do the performance testing, load testing, security testings. So the, performance testing means like the speed of that particular product basically. If we are working on a product, then what is the speed while working on that particular module? So that come under the performance testing, and that is a part of non-functional testing. Likewise there is a one more testing which come under the dynamic testing, which is the usability testing. In that what we generally do is like we verify the user manuals, like for any product, let's suppose if we are purchasing any product like mobile, so we got the user manuals, right? So as a testing point of view, we need to verify that particular user manual is right or wrong, because that will directly go to the customer. So that user manual testing also done under this usability testing, and then later on is the UA testing, and this testing basically done by the customers, we can say end users or our stakeholders basically. So their team basically do the UA testing. For that different environment will be created, and that environment is created by the development team, and so that testing basically done by the we can say with the client or with the stakeholders. So in today's class, I just want to summarize, like, we mainly we discussed about the dynamic testing, and in a dynamic testing we discussed about unit testing, system testing, integration testing, then usability testing and UA testing. So like, if you guys have any question in that, please let me know, please drop me a message. So I will connect with you guys in the next class. Till that time, thank you so much. Bye.